Hello and welcome to Recordholics Academy. My name is Gary, and if you're serious about making music and making it work, this is the place for you. In today's video, we're going to talk about why making it in music is something different for everyone. And it should be. So, making it. I mean, we've all heard that phrase before. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. Wait until I make it. You know. We're talking about making it. We're talking about success, right? So what is success? This is something that I have discussed a little bit before. Let's take a deep dive in the topic and kind of see where it takes us, right? So I feel like there's this widespread idea that making it or success is, being on a record label, being super famous, being played on the radio, doing stadium tours, and, being a household name for the whole world. But that's one form of success. That's one level. That's one sort of path, one way to define it, right? But there are many others. There are many other ways to define success. And I feel like what I just described in terms of, this elite level of success, like the biggest names you can think of, most famous, most successful, wealthy, et cetera, people. But let's take a look at that. Like, when we sit, in the early stages of your career, or even later stages, whatever, however you're progressing, when the finish line to you looks like that, and that's all you can see, based on the numbers, right? Most people aren't going to be there. We're not going to get there. And what that ends up doing is bringing quite a bit of disappointment to people and making it seem like they've failed. Even if they've reached amazing places with their music and the thing that they're really passionate about, they still feel defeated or like unsuccessful or like a failure because they didn't reach that. And that's what they were shooting for. So there's that one side of it. But then also, when that's what you're shooting for, and that's your main goal, you end up making the wrong decisions quite often. Quite often. This is a constant thing I've seen so many times over the years, like, where you can tell, like, when I would ask certain artists, so what are your goals? Like, what's the ultimate goal for you, And I've heard many people say, like, to be famous, or, like something to that effect. I mean, it's good for you to recognize that's what you're looking for. But it's almost like I didn't really have to ask you. I knew that. Because if I could see what decisions you're making, like I can see, I know that that's what you want. Because you're not making the right decisions for your career. When that becomes your goal, it's so far away, it's so far ahead, it's such a vast, like, fantastic goal that it stays so far away for so long that it becomes, I don't know, you become more and more desperate to get there. Because as time goes by, you feel like it's going to be harder and harder and harder for you to get there. So that's your main goal. And all you can think about is how you want to be famous, and you should be the top of the world. You should be, one of these top names or whatever. And so the older you get and the more time that goes by, the more unrealistic it becomes, and the more, like, desperate you become to get there. It's actually quite sad. And I'm not saying that there's no way for somebody like older to get there, because I think that anybody can succeed at any point. But I'm just saying that this is how it ends up playing out with most people who have that as their main goal. Not to mention the fact that like many of them just end up quitting really early on because they realize they're not going to get there. And so there's no understanding that they have that there's so much in between. That like if music is something really important to you, there's so many possibilities between where you are now and the top artist in the world. You know, there's so many things in between. So that's not the only way to make it. That's not the only way to be successful. But I have found that many, many people think like that's where they should be, you know? And it's not a terrible thing, but I think it's destructive because anybody has the ability to get there. But remember that there's a small amount of people who do. So I think that if you're more focused on building a proper career rather than trying to be the biggest star in the world, I think you're actually more likely to become the biggest star in the world because you're building something that you can keep building on and more and more and more, you know? So, I mean, I actually distinctly remember one kid, I forget how I met him. He booked a session through someone else. He was a friend of somebody, I think, or he like a coworker or something. Somebody said, "Oh, call Gary. You know, you can, you know, give you a good price. You can record a song or whatever, and get it sound good." He was like, you know, vocals, rap, singing, I think, like kind of a little bit of both. Mostly rapping, I think. Young kid, maybe 19 at the time. I did 2 sessions with him. I never saw him again. He came in, we recorded 2 songs. He brought the beats. I loaded them up, recorded a couple of songs. I mean, he was really, really talented, like really talented, young, cool, chill, very, very talented. I forget his name. I can't even think of it right now, but I just distinctly remember he was one of those guys that I asked him because I was like, wow, like this kid's talented, really talented. You know, so what are your goals? Like, what are you shooting for? Like, I think I was kind of hoping to work with him further, like, you know, start making some music together and so on. You know, when I find a talent, I want to use it. I want to work with it. I want to pull it out, make it better. And he said something to the effect of like, basically, I want to be famous. Like, I want to be a star or something in that way. I don't know the exact words, but I remember being like, okay, all right. We kind of went on. I mixed the songs, and the second time he came back, he was like, I got to record this song. Like, this has got to get done. And I'm like, okay, what's up? And I mean, I've actually, believe it or not, I've heard something to this effect many, many times. It was something about how his, you know, aunt's, you know, friend worked with a guy who was the janitor or was friends with a guy who was like the janitor at some label or something, or like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but it was like so ridiculous, and how this person claimed that they could get a song to some famous producer or something. I don't know whether it was Pharrell or I mean, who knows? At that point, it could have been Diddy or one of these, you know. But like I said, I've heard this kind of thing so many times. So the crazy thing was, when he told me that, I was like, all right, well, I got to tell you, that's like, okay, let's do it. But I don't think that that's really something you should be worried about, you know? Okay, fine, whatever. Then we start doing the song, and like, it's completely different style from what the other two songs or whatever we did the last session. He's like singing more, and like singing was like something he could do a little, but like he was doing it a lot. And there was like, it sounded like a rip off of like Drake or something, the beat and the sound. And I was kind of like, you're way better than this. Like, what is this? You know? But the thought process seems to be with a lot of people, especially younger people who are trying to like get seen or found or discovered or whatever, seems to be that like, okay, well, I heard that the labels want this sound. He did say something about some other guy saying that he needed a song that sounded like this for the labels or something. And I'm just like, I got to tell you, man, that's not the right way to do this. This is not at all the right way to do this. Of course, we did it. I did my best to make it sound as good as possible. And it wasn't terrible. It just was clearly not him, you know? And I find this a lot over the years. I have found that so many people fall into this trap that either they hear that someone can get their demo to some ex-producer or famous artist or whatever, which is always BS. Or they hear that, okay, well, the labels want this kind of sound, and then I found some submission thing, and I'm going to submit this song. We got to get this done. And you're pulling yourself away from like the actual work that you need to do. You're taking away from your actual progress. So you're focused on making it as this big, famous, huge, successful star, and you're not focused on building your career. So I met another guy. I forget his name too, but this guy, I swear to God, his voice was so incredible. He was R&B singer, like mind-blowing voice, with feeling, with everything, like, and with a very, very calculated understanding of the recording process and how to use his voice the way he wanted it for specific words and specific lines, and how to like layer his voice, and how he knew exactly what he wanted to do in each layer. Like, this guy was, I mean, the most amazing session that I could possibly have with a new singer that comes into me. He was probably like late 30s or early 40s. So he was doing like these R&B songs, and I mean, he was unbelievable. And it's the perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about, what I've been saying this entire time in this entire video, is he had gotten a little older, but was still chasing being that star. So all the songs he was doing had these sounds of something that he thought was, you know, going to get him signed. He was signed at some point but never released an album, or I don't know the whole story exactly, but I feel like he spent so much time going towards this goal that he never thought of like the possibility that he could just like build his own fan base and his own career and just take it from there and be happy with building, you know, X amount of fans and making X amount of dollars every year from his music. Like that never connected, because that can always build up more. He's just chasing this deal. I mean, quite literally chasing the deal. This guy like kept talking about every session we did. He kept coming in and kept talking about, you know, some kind of opportunity he's working on, and he wanted to put this music towards it or whatever. Like, I'm not saying don't go for opportunities, but I feel like you need to understand what these opportunities are, because in this business, there are so many times where people like to portray things as some kind of huge opportunity for you. You need to understand how to see it for what it is, okay? I personally, I don't get excited about any of these things. I stopped doing that 15 years ago. Every once in a while, you see something pop up and go, ooh, could this be? But then I got to remember, this is likely bogus. And, you know, the one of the main things here is that, you know, is that again, you see some opportunity come up, some submission thing or some like, and okay, if it looks like it's something that could be interesting, like maybe work on that, maybe do that, maybe submit to that. But if it's something that requires you to take all of your focus away from all the important work you're doing to build your career, just to jump at some opportunity, like, don't do it. Don't do it. It's most likely bogus, okay? There are so many sharks in the music industry looking for desperate people, because there's so many desperate people in the music industry. I mean, it is crazy. Everybody's desperate. And so what happens is you have an insane amount of people who go, ooh, these people are desperate. How can I make money off of them? How can I, you know, exploit them? I mean, I knew a guy whose entire studio business was built around lying to artists about showcasing them for labels. So he got artists to pay him thousands of dollars to just do a basic recording, which I'm not saying was not good. They came out good, but he was able to charge them all this money and kind of like get their hopes up by presenting them with the idea that, okay, you're gonna work with me on this. We're gonna do this, and then you're gonna do a showcase for these labels or whatever. And I had friends that worked with this guy, and I was like, I don't know. I keep hearing things about this guy that are not good. I don't really know the deal, but you know, stay away from it. You're much better off looking for a real legit studio and working there. And you fast forward all these years later to me working at the audio school on Long Island that I worked for 4 years. But when I first started there was a guy, an older guy working there who was really cool. And, you know, between like on the breaks or between classes, we would all be outside chatting because like people would go out to smoke. And even though I didn't smoke, I would still go out there, especially because I was new and I wanted to talk to everybody and meet everybody and get, you know, sort of get myself into the sort of, you know, world of the school. Anyway, this one guy was like very loud personality, boisterous kind of guy, and just like really fun and awesome guy to hang out with. And he always he's a little older, so he's been in the industry for a really long time, he's got stories, a lot of cool stories. So like, we're outside one day and it's fairly new, maybe a few months in, and he's telling a story, and I was like, hold on a minute. This guy you're talking about, because he was talking about this guy, and he was like not saying his name. My buddy, this guy. Okay. I asked him just at one point, I'm like, is his name X? And he just looks at me like this. And didn't answer, but like, I knew. So this guy that he was talking about, because he's telling this story about how this guy called him on a number of different occasions, asking him to put on a suit and come to some event space and pretend to be an A&R from a label. Like, this is what people were doing. And I guarantee you, people like this are still doing this. There is so much crap in this industry. Like, you have to lose the desperation somehow, some way. If you're feeling like you're desperate to get success in music, you have to drop the desperation. You have to find a way. You have to. Like, you absolutely have to. So, like, there's this high, massive goal that so many people have to be this famous star, top of the game, top of the list, top of the charts, right? But there's so much underneath that like there's so much for the taking. I think one of the greatest goals you could possibly have and be able to define success for yourself is probably the idea that you have built a fan base that you can literally live off of, that you don't have to work another job, that this is the job that you do. You make music, you make videos, you do performances, you tour, you do appearances, you do events, you make music, you travel, and you just live off of that. Living off of that doesn't have to be millions and millions and millions of dollars and millions of fans. Like, that does not have to be that at all. Like, I've talked about this before, but like, if you had anywhere between 500 and 1,000 true fans, like, that's it. You can live off of your music easily if you find a way to extract a certain amount of dollars out of each one of those. Not extract, but, get. Like, yeah, extract, but it's not in a bad way. You're sort of making use of the assets that you have that are the true fans. Because these type of people who are true fans of you, they want to support you. They want to give you money. You just have to find a way to get that money from them. So, I mean, some of the best things you can do is create like a subscription that they can pay for. That's cheap enough where it's like no brainer, $5 to $10 a month. So let's say $10 a month, right? $10 a month is $120 a year. Okay. $120 a year times 1,000 is 120,000. Half of that, 500, is 60,000. So could you live off of $60,000 a year? What are you living off of now? Like, think about that, right? Think about that. $60,000. And what's half of that? So 250 people. $30,000. I mean, that alone is what some people are making every year. You could live off of 250 fans at $10 a month. Okay? And then supplement that with, I mean, if you're at that point and you have that amount of people and you just keep fueling that, you keep connecting with those people, they're going to be viewing your other stuff on YouTube and everything like that. So those things are going to be potentially generating money as well. If you get monetized on YouTube, if you're monetized on TikTok and some other places, that's income as well. So if you keep posting and feeding those fans and they're consuming that content there, as well as, let's say, on your membership like Patreon or buy me a coffee or something like that. So, you don't need to be a massive mega star to be successful. Having anywhere between 250 and 1,000 fans who are willing to pay $10 a month or $100 or so per year on you, I mean, that's way more than most people are living on. If you think about the numbers of that, because there's even more involved. Like I said, those 1,000 people or those 500 people or whatever that are willing to pay you that $10 a month or $8 a month or whatever, are also, that means they're willing to consume your content as well. So they're streaming your song, they're buying merch from you, they're buying albums or things from you. They're going to shows. They're consuming the content that leads to monetization, etc., on other platforms. So there's all these ways to collect money from this small group of people that it's easy to consider it a success. So not only that, but like this is a great, fantastic goal for success. And it should be, if you're not there yet and you don't have that in place, it should be your main goal that you're focused on. How can I get, let's say 250 fans that are willing to pay me $8 a month or $10 a month and, be real fans and connect with them? Like, how can I get there and figure out everything you need to do to get there first? But so not only is this amazing and something that you can live off of, but it's also not the end either. Because this is the type of thing that you can build on top of now. Because now, let's say you get to that point and you're still working your job and you're making this money from this, let's say, small group of like 100 to 250 people. You're still working your job. Now you're making a lot more money and you can start socking money away and use, let's say if you're still working your job while you're starting to generate this kind of income from your career, all the money that comes from your career can be completely reinvested into the career. Like for gear, for trips to do regional shows, all the things you need, right? Artwork, videography, music videos, ads to promote things that you're doing or videos you're posting and things, ads to promote your new song that you released, studio time, beats, producers, like all the money you're generating can be used to pay for those things. And now the money you're making at work can be saved, can be used to spend on, your life expenses, your housing, your food, your phone bill, your all your bills, So that's like a launching point now, and then let's say you get enough to make it so you don't have to work the job anymore, and you have 500 or so. And you're like, okay, that's enough for me. I can quit my job or drop to part-time. And then the next step is, let's say the 750 or, whatever. And then you definitely can quit and you can work. And then you're like, okay, great. Let's keep that going. What are the next increments that you can build towards? But I think that's the best way to define your success, is that like you can go in stages. If you're way too focused on being this big star, you're going to miss out on all the work you can be doing to climb your way there. If you really, want that, if you really want that, you have to forget about it completely. You have to forget about it completely. You can write it down, put it in a thing, and just hide it away and lock it away for 5 years. Okay? Because you need to focus on incremental goals. Find a way to redefine success for yourself. Because it's dangerous. Because it's dangerous to be so focused on the wrong definition of success. A lot of times it ends up making people quit, or making people get caught up in scams, or getting roped into some really bad contracts. Oh my God. Oof. The desperation is so bad. You have to get away from it. So many desperate people in the music industry. I could have been somebody to take advantage of that. I could have done that. I built a studio. I met a lot of artists. I could have done that. But I know the thing for me is that when I saw that firsthand or secondhand through friends, when I saw these type of things happening, it irked me so much that people would be that way, that people would do things like that, that I basically vowed to fight against that. And even these like legitimate labels and people at labels and stuff, I mean, they are sharks too. They will rip you apart. Absolutely rip you apart. They'll tell you everything that you need to hear for you to sign at the dotted line. And once you sign, everything they told you is very different. Okay? Way too many people sign the dotted line and then realize that this was... Basically, I've seen labels sign artists mainly to shelve them. I've seen it happen. And it's every excuse in the book. Well, it's not quite what we're looking for. This album, keep working, keep writing. So you keep working, you keep writing, keep making music, but they're not releasing it because it's not, whatever they are looking for. And they've locked you into the contract, so you can't put any of that music out. And then when the contract is over, they still own all that music. So you can't even take that music and put it out. So it's just, oh God, I hate record labels. Oh God, I hate record labels. I'm going to have to do a whole video about that, but I don't know if I should. Anyway, I'm going on and on and on and on and on and on and on right now. My camera says 38 minutes. I'm probably going to cut some of that out, but man, success. So if you're somebody that has that goal, that you just need to be this big star, like I get it, and I, to some degree, can understand it. And I'm not going to say I never had some kind of thought in my head when I was 18 or something, thinking I'm going to be a rock star and all that, but you have to pull yourself away from that, because again, it's going to pull you into desperation, and it's going to make things just really bad overall. Most likely. I'm not saying for everybody, but most likely. So find a way to hit a target, to look at a different target, because you can't get there without getting here and then getting here and then getting here. Okay? Forget about all that bogus stuff. Keep your wits about you when you see opportunities coming. Okay? And keep your eyes open for these sharks. Learn how to read people. When you have a conversation with somebody and they're trying to tell you they want to do this for you, they want to do that for you, learn how to read people. And also, learn how to take a minute. If there's ever pressure for somebody to get you involved in something, where it has to happen right now, like right now, we can't wait, I would walk away, 100%, walk away. Especially if it's something serious where like you have to sign this thing and it's a big thing where it's exclusive and all this other stuff, like walk away. I would walk away. Because if I don't have the time to read the contract, to investigate the company and the person, to, like do all the things that are necessary to make an informed decision. If I can't do that, I'm not doing it, period. Bye. So those are kind of my thoughts on that. All right, last couple of points. That figure out what success means to you. If it's that, consider what else would make you happy. Right? Write it down. Write down your goals. Keep them locked away. Don't write them down and leave them around and show them to all your friends. Like, think about what's important to you, what your goals are, write them down and keep them close to you that you can read them, but hidden away so that it's not something that causes a weird distraction with other people. Write them down. Maybe write them down a few times. Write them down. Write them down again. Okay? Get yourself reminding yourself that this is what you want. And these are your goals. And this is where you're headed. When you write things, there's a connection between your hands and your brain that I think is really, really good. Focus on the incremental goals. Focus on the little bits you can do and the little bits you can grow every single day. That's all you need to worry about. Success will come if you're not so desperate for it. Right? So that's why a more healthy view on what success is. You can't have the all or nothing approach. The all or nothing is what's going to hurt you. Like, okay, yeah, if you really, it'd be great. Wouldn't it be great if I was just like on top of the world, in music? Yeah, it would be great. But like, I'd also be happy with having a loyal fan base and being able to play music for the rest of my life and live off of it. Like, wouldn't that be like just great? I don't know. Like, to me, that would be great. Not having to do BS crap to make money and doing something I love doing, that I enjoy doing. And sure, like, no matter what, there's always going to be things that you're going to be doing that is like not as enjoyable surrounding the thing that you love. So remember that. You might have to play at a place you really don't want to play at, or you might have to, do things that are not so enjoyable. But overall, it's something you love doing. Keep that in mind. Get a balanced view of what success is, not all or nothing. All or nothing is just going to like destroy everything for you. You're probably not going to make it then. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. I would love that. Prove me wrong. Go out, become this big star, and then tell me I'm an asshole and and all this other BS. Cool, I'll take it. I'll shake your hand and say, I'm happy for you. Right? But it's much easier to get to that high level if you're building towards it. How are you going to meet the right people that are going to get you there if you're not building and having awareness of you, right? You have to build. And then just be cautious about any contract. Desperation is what gets these really crappy deals that lock people in. Remember, it locks you in. If a label's going to sign you, they're going to lock you in. So once you sign, it better be the right deal. And if you're not already with a fan base and proven numbers, income, etc., if you're not already there and you are offered a deal, I could guarantee you that's not going to be a good deal. But if you build something and you have leverage, you have fans, you have a name, you have something that you're building, you can leverage that in a deal. So, but not only that, you can walk away from a deal. You need to be able to walk away from a deal. Absolutely have to be able to. If you cannot walk away, if you think in your head, okay, somebody's going to give me this deal and I'm going to look at it and I'm going to go, this is not a good deal. And if you know in your heart that you're going to sign that deal anyway, you're screwed. You need to figure out how to walk away from that. You need to be able to walk away from a deal. That's the only way you're going to get to a good deal. If you can't walk away, and if you're not going to sign this deal, it's never going to come again. Well, if it came once, it'll come again. Especially if you're still working, moving forward and building. You gotta stay head down, focused, moving forward. That's it. You've got to. Anyway, please, if you got anything out of this, let me know in the comments. If you hated it all, you think I'm a crazy mother, let me know in the comments. If you have anything you want to talk about, you want me to talk about, put it in the comments. If you like this, you want to see more, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Share it with somebody else who you think could benefit. And anyway, that's going to be it. My name is Gary, and I'm here to remind you to keep creating and keep pushing, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.